stream of consciousness. Stream of consciousness. Now we are defining, explaining, describing English literature. Fourth semester. It's English literature, fourth semester. Twentieth century literature. It's 20th century literature. Or in other words, we can say modern literature, present days. Stream of consciousness is a literary technique of consciousness is a literary technique that attempts to portray the continuous chaotic flow of thoughts, feelings, and sensations within a character's mind. Unlike traditional narrative styles, it captures the interior monologue and fragmented mental experiences, offering readers direct insight into the character's inner world. This technique gained prominence during the modernist era as writers sought to depict the complexities of human consciousness in a disordered fast-changing world. Pre-modernist writers such as James Joyce, Virginia Woolf, and William Faulkner were pioneers of this style. Particularly the final 10 o'clock episode featuring Molly Bloom's thoughts. The narrative unfolds without punctuation or logical sequence, mimicking the natural rhythm of thought. Similarly, in Woolf's Mr. Dalloway, protagonist Clarissa Dalloway's consciousness drifts between memories and present events, reflecting her emotional and psychological states. The Sound and the Fury by Faulkner particularly uses whose fragmented narratives convey trauma, confusion, and existential angst. The technique effectively captures the subjective experience of time, often interleaving past and present through memory and flashbacks. By focusing on the interior monologue, writer exposes the innermost fears, desires, and conflicts of their characters. It also allows for a deeper, non-linear portrayal of identity and perception. Ultimately, stream of consciousness transforms the act of reading into a more intimate, immersive experience, emphasizing psychological depth and human complexity in a way that conventional narration cannot achieve. What is dystopia? Dystopian literature presents a vision of a future society that is deeply flawed, oppressive, and often governed by authoritarian control. In contrast to utopia, which imagine an ideal and perfect world, dystopia explores the dark consequences of societal, political, and technological trends taken to their extremes. It serves as a powerful tool for critiquing the present by projecting its dangers into a bleak future. Two of the most influential dystopian novels are George Orwell's 1984 and Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. In 1984, Orwell imagines a totalitarian state where Big Brother monitors every citizen through constant surveillance and individual thought is suppressed through propaganda and language manipulation. It warns against unchecked government power and the loss of personal freedom. Huxley's Brave New World portrays society where people are conditioned from birth, pacified by pleasure, and controlled not by fear but by intelligence and destruction. Their technology and consumerism replace brutality as tools of control. The novel critiques how scientific advancements and mass entertainment can undermine individuality and critical thinking. Common themes in dystopian literature include loss of identity, suppression of free will, and manipulation of truth. Both Orwell and Huxley offers cautionary tales around how power, technology, and conformity can destroy the human spirit. In today's world where surveillance, disinformation, and technological dominance are rising concerns, a European literature remained highly relevant. Its challenges lead us to question authority, protect civil liberties, and remain vigilant about the direction of society and governance. Next, let us discuss allusion. Allusion is a literary device in which a writer makes an indirect reference to a well-known text, person, event, myth, or cultural element, expecting the reader to recognize and connect with it. This technique adds layers of meaning, depth, and resonance to the pretty text, allowing writers to involve complex ideas or emotions without lengthy explanation. Allusions can be mythological. Allusions can be mythological, biblical, historical, or literary in nature. For instance, T.S. Eliot's The Mist Land is rich in mythological and literary allusions, referencing the great legend, the Bible, Shakespeare, and Dante. These references contribute to the poem's theme of spiritual barrenness and cultural decay, encouraging readers to explore multiple interpretative layers. Shakespeare too frequently employed classical allusions. In Hamlet, for example, references to Greek mythology like Hyperion and Troy elevate the protagonist's emotions and contextualize with the grief and moral struggle within a broader human tradition. Biblical allusions often evoke spiritual or moral connotations. A reference to the Garden of Eden may imply themes of innocence, temptation, or loss. Historical allusions can add political or ideological weight, while literary allusions allow one text to speak to another, creating an intertextual dialogue that enriches both. By using allusions, authors link their work with a wider literary and cultural tradition. This connection transcends time, drawing parallels between past and present, and allowing readers to see contemporary issues in a broader context. Ultimately, allusion enhances the work's intellectual and emotional impact, rewarding knowledgeable readers with a deeper literary experience. What is symbolism? Symbol is extended in form of symbolism. Symbolism is a powerful literary device where a concrete object, character or action represents an abstract idea or deeper meaning. It allows writers to express complex themes and emotions in a more evocative and layered manner, enriching the reader's experience with intellectually and emotionally. Symbols can be universal, such as the sun representing life or light, symbolizing knowledge, or contextual, where their meaning is derived from the specific narrative. Writers often use symbolism to communicate ideas that go beyond the literal, creating a multi-dimensional work of literature. In poetry, William Blake's The Tiger uses the tiger as a symbol of divine power, danger, and mystery, raising questions about the nature of the creator and creation. The poem explores the dualities of existence, innocence and experience, good and evil through this central symbol. In fiction, F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby famously uses the green light at the end of Dash's dog as a symbol of Gatsby hopes and dreams, particularly the elusive American dream. It represents both aspiration and unattainable desire, highlighting the novel's themes of illusion and corruption. In Dream, Arthur Miller's The Crucible uses the Salem witch trials as a symbol of mass hysteria and political persecution, reflecting the contemporary fears of McCarthyism during the 1950s. Through such examples, symbolism gives literature depth and richness, enabling readers to interpret meanings that resonate personally and culturally. It bridges the emotional and intellectual realms, inviting deeper reflection on human experience, society, and the nature of reality. Age and movements. What is modernism? Modernism was a literary and cultural movement that emerged in the late 19th and early 20th centuries as a reaction to the rapid changes in society brought about by industrialization, World War I, and urbanization. It is characterized by a deliberate break from traditional forms and styles of writing, emphasizing experimentation and a search for new ways to express the fragmented realities of modern life. Modernist writers rejected linear narratives and clear-cut plots, often employing stream of consciousness, fragmented structure, and multiple perspectives. This reflected the factual human experiences and uncertainty of the era. Writers like James Joyce, Virginia Woolf, and T.S. Eliot explore the psychological depth of their characters, focusing on inner consciousness rather than external action. Themes of alienation, disillusionment, and the loss of faith in traditional values are central to modernist literature. The world was seen as chaotic and meaningless, prompting writers to explore subjective realities and the complexities of time and memory. Modernism also sought to challenge the conventions of languages and form with poetry and prose, adopting new rhythms and structures. The movement profoundly influenced the arts and set the stage for many later literary developments by encouraging bold innovation and introspection. Postmodernism. What is postmodernism? Postmodernism emerged in the mid-20th century as a reaction to and development beyond modernism. It is characterized by skepticism towards grand narratives, fixed truths, and the idea of objective reality. While modernism sought new forms to express the fragmented human condition, postmodernism embraces fragmentation, paradox, and playfulness without the hope of finding a coherent meaning. Postmodern literature often uses metafiction, pastiche, intertextuality, and self-referentiality, drawing attention to its own status as a text. This reflects a belief that reality and meaning are constructed rather than discovered. Writers such as Thomas Pinecone, Kurt Vonnegut, and Don DeLillo blur boundaries between genres and challenge the reader's expectations. Unlike modernism, which could be serious and introspective, postmodernism often adopts irony and parody to question cultural norms and authority. It suggests the multiple conflicting interpretations coexist and truth is relative. Postmodernism also explores issues of identity, media saturation and the impact of technology. By deconstructing language and narrative, it undermines the certainty sought by modernism, emphasizing uncertainty and ambiguity as inherent aspects of human experience. Magic realism. Magic realism is a literary genre that combines realistic narrative with magical or fantastic elements. Treating extraordinary events as part of everyday life. Originating primarily in Latin American literature, magic realism creates a hybrid world where the boundaries between reality and fantasy blur, reflecting the complex nature of cultural identity and history. Writers like Gabriel Garcia Marquez and Isabel Allen use magic realism to express social and political realities infused with myth, legend and supernatural occurrences. For example, in Garcia Marquez's 100 Years of Solitude, the magical and the mundane coexist seamlessly, highlighting themes of time, memory and the cyclical nature of history. Magic realism allows authors to explore marginalized perspectives and challenges Western notions of reality. It gives voice to indigenous beliefs, folklore and collective memory, making visible the unseen and inexplicable forces shaping human life. This genre's significance lies in its ability to expand the limits of realism by incorporating cultural and spiritual dimensions, enriching the reader's understanding of diverse worldviews and the contradictions of modern existence. Existentialism. What is existentialism? Existentialism is a philosophical movement that became prominent in the mid-20th century, focusing on individual existence, freedom, and the search for maintaining in an indifferent or absurd universe. In literature, existentialism explores the human conditions, emphasizing personal responsibility and angst that arises from facing a meaningless world. Writers such as Jean-Paul Sartre, Albert Camus, and Samuel Beckett depict characters grappling with existential dilemmas, alienation, despair, and the burden of choice. Existentialist literature often portrays individuals who must create their own meaning through authentic decisions. Despite the lack of inherent purpose, in Camus, the stranger, the protagonist's indifference and confrontation with death illustrate absurdity and existential detachment. Sartre's plays like No Exit explore the idea that existence precedes essence, meaning people define themselves through actions, not predetermined nature. Existentialist writing rejects deterministic views and stresses freedom and responsibility. It challenges readers to confront uncomfortable truths about human isolation and the necessity of forging meaning in an uncertain world. Surrealism. What is surrealism? Surrealism, beginning in the early 20th century, is both a literary and artistic movement that seeks to unlock the creative potential of the unconscious mind. Influenced by Freudian psychoanalysis, surrealism accepts to transcend rational thought by using dream imagery, illogical scenes, and bizarre juxtapositions. Surrealist literature challenges conventional reality by blending the familiar with the fantastical, often creating startling or absurd effects. Writers such as Andrew Buchan, the founder of surrealism, and Louis Aragon used automatic writing and free association to explore subconscious thoughts and desires. Surrealism breaks down boundaries between reality and imagination, allowing repressed feelings, fears, and desires to surface. It often portrays a chaotic and irrational world, questioning societal norms and conventional logic. In literature, surrealism pushes readers to experience reality in new ways, emphasizing intuition and emotion over reason. This movement had a profound influence on later experimental literature and helped redefine artistic freedom. What is Harlem Renaissance? The Harlem Renaissance was a cultural, social, and artistic explosion centered in Harlem, New York. During the 1920s and 1930s, it marked the first major literary and artistic movement led by African Americans, celebrating black identity, heritage, and creativity. Writers like Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, and Claude McKay produced works that challenged racial stereotypes and expressed pride in black culture. The movement emphasized themes of racial pride, resistance to oppression, and the complexities of African American life. Harlem Renaissance literature combined folk traditions, jazz rhymes, and modernist experimentation, creating vibrant works that contributed to redefining American African identity in the US. It laid the foundation for later civil rights. It laid the foundation for later civil rights activism and inspired future generations of black writers and artists. The movement's impact extended beyond literature to music, visual arts, and politics, fostering a new sense of racial consciousness and cultural empowerment. What is post-colonialism? Post-colonialism. Post-colonialism literature emerges from the experience of colonized nations after gaining independence. It deals with themes such as identity, displacement, hybridity, and resistance to colonial power. Post-colonial writers explore the psychological and social effects of colonization and the struggle to reclaim cultural heritage. Authors like Chinua HB, Salman Rushdie and Jean Reich highlight a clash between indigenous tradition and colonial influence. Their works often portrays the complexities of cultural identity and the ongoing impact of imperialism. Post-colonial literature critics Eurocentric narratives and challenges the dominance of Western history and language. It gives voice to marginalized people and explored issues of race, language and nationalism. By emphasizing the legacies of colonization, post-colonial writers encourage readers to reconsider history from diverse perspectives and promote cultural pluralism and justice. Thank you. I thank all my brothers and sisters. I thank all my teachers and trainers. I thank all my professors, professionals, officers, officials. I thank all respected doctors and directors. I thank all adorable ministers and managers. I thank all honorable advocates, advisors, administrators and advisors. I would like to thank our present Prime Minister Modi ji, who provided us a lot of knowledge about literature. Thank you. Thank you.